Hello and welcome everyone to a new video in the lovely city of Sovietgrad, where I try to build an Eastern European city. Now, the city has been growing quite a lot from the last episode. I've done a lot of changes around. I extended the industry, added the hospital area, redesigned the university, and we even got an observatory in the city. You can see an overview of most of this in the cinematics, but in today's video we are going to focus a little bit on the industrial area, where I'm going to show you how I detailed a couple of areas. Then we move to a radio building, and after that you will see how I created a Soviet-inspired bus terminal with the lovely procedural objects mod, which is my favorite thing. Alright, starting off, what you see here is me detailing a little bit of this section of the industrial area. I haven't added details to all the warehouses and oil tanks and whatnot because the area is quite big, but in some little specific areas like this one, I added quite a lot of different things to make the area look pretty realistic. Of course, for inspiration I always look around Google Maps, but one thing in common that I see if you start looking in the industrial areas of big cities is that those warehouses focus on one thing usually. And that's a thing that I always question myself whenever I play this game, like what is the main purpose of this building? Is it a factory? Then what does it produce? And so on. So I decided to go with those two buildings next to each other. One is a warehouse that stores different construction materials, and the other, the smaller one, let's say it's a company that delivers cement, and that's why I went crazy with the cement bags in the courtyard there, and I also added some cement pipes to make the area not so repetitive. Now, as you can see here, I wanted to make this area a bit more alive, and I added a couple of trucks that let's say are getting loaded with cement bags for delivery. So what I did was change those props into procedural objects so I can add some cement bags and pipes into the trucks. And the best part about using procedural objects is that you can hide stuff that you don't want in the ground or another object, and that's what you can see me doing here with those extra cement bags that are getting in the way. And the same thing goes for the pipes. I extended them a little bit in the other trucks so they can fit better in that space. I know that for some people this isn't really important, and a lot of you guys just look at the big picture in the end, like road layouts and stuff like that, but when I build those detailed things, for me it's really important that it makes sense. So even though when you look through the cinematics you're not going to pause and say, aha, I see those pipes are quite short in the truck there. How is that possible? They will move around all the time when the truck is driving. Yeah, I know people don't do that, but to me, like, even though you don't notice, I know it's there and it's gonna itch my brain, so yeah, I have to fix that. Alright, after finishing the cement company, I went and added this amazing building and decided to turn it into an appliances factory. Of course, the area needs quite a lot of storage, and I found this great asset on the workshop and I added 4 of them. Which already has a lot of crates laying around, so all I did was add more of them where I see fit and added some washing machines or whatever those are, and also do the same thing by loading some of the crates in the trucks like we did in the cement factory. After that I went and added a couple of textures on the ground to give the area a more dirty look by using the dirt decals and mud texture, and I closed the entire area with the fence to have it like a closed factory. Moving on, here we have this awesome building that I found on the workshop. It is called the Geisel, I don't know how to pronounce that, Geisel Library, and it is located in San Diego, California. I absolutely love the brutalist architecture of this building, so of course it was a must to use this in the city that I'm building. I'm still not quite sure about the area where I placed this building next to those old houses, but hey, anything is possible in this game. But I think it turned out okay in the end, and yeah, now the building was quite big, so I turned it into a procedural object so I could scale it down, and I decided to change the function of the building into a radio station. And when I saw the top part of the building, I thought a nice radio antenna might fit there, so I added that. After that, I added a closed parking area for the workers with a barrier and detailed the rest of the space with some trees. And finally we are moving on to the old part of the city where we have some houses from the 50s, and the space is a bit bigger than the apartment blocks area where everything is a bit more compact. To be absolutely honest, this area is the one that I don't like doing that much, because for some reason it really is quite a problem for me to figure out what type of building to use where. I'm trying really hard to have the entire space planned out quite well, and I'm taking into consideration the height of the buildings and all that, but yeah, it's not something I really enjoy. The nice part about this area is that all those buildings here have this inner courtyard where I can do pretty much whatever comes to mind, either add some garages or just keep it in vegetation mode, as I like to call it, and that's what you see me doing here on screen. Basically the people just come here and stay outside, take some fresh air, and I don't know, play some chess or cards on those benches, or the classic, drink some beers and eat sunflower seeds. So here we are to the most interesting thing in this video, I think, the creation of the bus terminal in an Eastern European theme. I looked at a couple of buildings on Google to come to a design that I like, and I really wanted to experiment with a building that has a rounded circle shape, and I actually found this awesome one on the workshop. It's called Rotunda. You don't see in the video here, but I stripped out a lot of the elements from the building with procedural objects, elements which didn't fit, because the default building on the workshop is a bank, but luckily everything was really easy to remove. So what I wanted was to have this circular cylinder-like building, and then on the sides to have some pillars which connect on the roof. And I think it's really important, if you build like this, to have a plan from the beginning. For every little project that I do, I usually start by imagining how I want the thing to look in the end, how much space does it need, how high it needs to be, and all that. And once I have a design in my mind, I just deconstruct it into smaller pieces and figure out how to make those with procedural objects or whatever. And you will see more about what I explained here in the upcoming video. But in this case, I imagined the building to have those side pillars, so it was important to get the space between them equal. And when you want to achieve such a thing, you absolutely need to have a guideline, and that's what I'm doing right now on the screen with those white line decals. Basically I made an exterior circle where I'm going to add the pillars around, and then I had to divide the entire circle into equal segments. So so that the pillars have the same distance between them. Once the guideline was complete, I moved the building in place and started on making one pillar only. I learned this the hard way, but when you do such a thing, do one object first until it's complete and use that as a template, because otherwise it will be really hard to align things in the end. Luckily my pillars were quite simple, as they had only two objects, basically the bottom vertical part and then the top horizontal part on the roof. So I made sure I am happy how one completed pillar looked like, and then I copied both objects and pasted them around the building in the correct position. Of course, you will always run into some smaller problems where things don't really align perfectly, and that was the case with the roof here. But I was kinda expecting that as I was placing the pillars, because the problem was that when I was making the guidelines on the ground, I didn't really get the exact middle. But to fix that, I just added another cylinder on top with a darker texture to give it a bit of a contrast and make it stand out, and it looks great in my opinion. Now for the actual bus stops, the road layout is pretty simple, so I didn't include that in the video, but what I wanted was to make some nice shelters where people can hide from the sun in the summer, or have a roof when they wait for the bus and it's raining outside. So I played around with different designs and I went with this simple one, but the key here was the texture used. So what I did was make a custom metal texture, which is very rusty because of all the constant water from rains and of course passing of time, and then for the bottom part to have it made from cement. So basically the metal part is sitting on top of the cement, and of course I had to add some support pillars, and I played a bit with different designs for that as well until I settled on a V shape with two pillars, and I think it really turned out great in the end. Now I'm going to leave the rest of the video playing and then you will see some more cinematics at the end, but if you liked the video and want to see me doing this live and maybe give me your ideas and feedback, I stream quite often Cities Skylines on my Twitch channel, and I also have a Discord if you want to chat and show me your city as well, upload pictures and whatever. Check out the links in the description, and yeah. Alright, have a wonderful week everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, bye bye.